Hi, everyone. Welcome to our HUR LearnX Network session. We have with us here today Natalie Long from Brink, and we're going to talk about how we can scale climate innovation. What are some of the roles of startups, investment, and ecosystem partnerships? Hi, Natalie. Welcome to our show. Perhaps you could share with us your background and what inspired you to the role that you're in today.
Yeah, happy to. Thank you so much for having me. So I'm Natalie. Nice to meet everyone. Currently, I'm the program director of the climate tech vertical at Brink, which is a global venture accelerator and capital platform. So we work with startups within the climate tech space, as well as different investors, corporates, public entities, governmental entities, to help them unlock their corporate innovation or investment goals. Within climate, we look specifically at agri-food tech, carbon capture, utilization, storage, industrial decarbonization, and we'll be launching an initiative in sustainable fashion and textiles this coming year. We have offices in Hong Kong, Singapore, India, Dubai, Abu Dhabi, and Tech Scouts in Europe and the US. So we are really a global company, and really happy to be representing Brink today with you. Prior to Brink, my background's actually in finance, so I spent a few years in investment banking as well as at a family office and actually operating startups. So I'd say have a quite different perspectives on how to build a business.
So, what excites you the most about the innovations happening in climate tech today?
So I think climate tech for me is something very tangible, right? Like it's tangible yet intangible in the way that it's this huge problem everybody needs to solve. And what excites me the most is I'm finding that by working with startups, you're tackling the problem in a very tangible way, right? Throughout the programs, with early stage startups, we really tailor the program to see how we can support them. We look at their commercialization strategy. Right? How do we actually help them get their first clients? How do we help them secure partnerships with corporates? How do we help them get, even if they don't yet have their product ready to go to market, early commitments, offtake agreements, LOIs, MOUs, etc. We work very closely with them on their technology, on how to actually de-risk it. We work with them on their fundraising strategy, on their data room, on their how to best approach investors. And we also work with them on how to really build a team, foster a collaborative environment, resolve co-founder conflict, etc. So what excites me most, I guess, about working in the space is working with early stage startups. You really feel the tangible effect of your work in a space that is needed globally, right? No matter who you are.
However, many climate tech founders do struggle with securing investment. Mm-hmm. So what do investors look out for in promising climate tech startups to invest in?
I think that's a really great question. And I think this question is very important, especially now. I think climate tech, which used to be, clean tech, almost has a bad name to it, right? And every 5-10 years, investors are like, okay, should we rebrand? Should we call it something else? And I think the crux of the problem is that no one anymore is willing to give money to a company just for the sake of sustainability, right? That is insufficient. And if you look at the underlying investment sort of thesis rationale, it always should have been insufficient. So my biggest piece of advice to startup founders within the climate tech space would be to really make your commercial and investment case evident, right? Understand that the tech might not yet be de-risked, but what is your plan to actually de-risk it? How do you leverage partnerships creatively so your CapEx is not so high, right? How do you, what is your green premium and how do you plan to get that down? How do you compete with incumbent technologies and make sure your solution is not only more sustainable, but more cost effective? Because that litmus point will be the only point when your technology or product is going to be adopted by the masses. Or at scale, I would say.
And from your experience, what separates a good idea, like a project, right, from a truly scalable, impactful climate solution that you can run it as a scalable business? Yeah.
That's, I think, a lot of it actually maybe is the team, their ability to lead, bring to market. It's a really long journey, right? From an idea to actually getting something out to market, especially in climate tech, where real climate tech solutions are hardware solutions. There's some hardware physical product layer to it, right? Of course, there's some softwares aggregating data or supporting you with insights, but the real solutions are hard tech based. So I think it's a really, really long journey. I think the founder's ability to navigate that journey is crucial, but also those pieces around really showing your plan on how to de-risk. What's your techno-economic analysis? How are you going to convince investors to take that bet by showing the risk of the project?
And how would you see the climate tech investment landscape evolving the next, say, 5 to 10 years?
I hope, well, I do work in the space, that it will only get more and more mature, developed. I think the climate tech ecosystem still remains a little nascent in this region of the world, but there's more happening in North America and Europe, and I hope that in the coming years, APAC will really be a region that develops with more mature technologies, with more entrepreneurs in the space, with more awareness, more of a narrative around it, and more businesses where you can show, hey, I am more sustainable, but this is the clear business case.
And how would you think that, the corporates, the investors, and also the startups can work together, collaborate to drive meaningful progress together? Yeah.
I think that's also like for all startups, right? It's very difficult to succeed in a silo or on your own. So from the investor perspective, a reminder that this is a patient capital that is required, right? This is not a software company that is going to have a hockey stick growth and going to be turned around in 12 months, right? That's just not the way that the sector works. I think from corporates also understanding, it's bridging that gap between corporates often want technology solutions that are all ready to deploy. When startups are a little bit easy, earlier stage, it's how to demonstrate to corporates that, hey, we might not be here yet and be able to build the full, deployable solution, but here is how we can work together to get to that stage, to deploy, to design the pilot with offtake agreements, et cetera. So it's understanding on both sides of the stages it takes to de-risk and finding creative solutions around the capital stack to fund that.
And how do you strike that balance, right? Given that you've worked in investment banking, you usually would have that, profit-making sort of mindset, right? And then you've got that side where you're thinking about impact, climate tech startups, right? How do you strike that balance, and what is your equation to such businesses? What are you looking out for? Yeah.
Well, I think that you've hit the nail on the head, and you're looking for businesses that both make money and are sustainable, right? That's ultimately the aim of the game, as it's not going to work without one piece or the other.
What is actually one lesson you learned from being, perhaps, while you work with the startups, and you feel that these are important lessons that you have learned and you would like to share it with the other fellow founders and entrepreneurs? Yeah.
I'm always amazed by the founders that we work with. It is such a Herculean mission to run your own company, and especially in this space. I think one thing that really strikes me from the founders that are successful is their resilience, their ability to say, okay, this doesn't work. We're going to pivot. We're going to try again. We're not going to give up, and we are going to figure it out, right? Really founder resilience in ability to iterate quickly, pivot quickly, and that unwillingness to give up. So I think if there's one, piece of advice I would give to founders is don't give up.
Yeah, because, entrepreneurship can be tough, and, a climate tech or climate entrepreneurship can be even more difficult, challenging. But what mindset or habits do you see in the most successful founders you have worked with today?
I think never forget the big picture Founders can often get so drawn into their company and see only the nitty-gritty. So it's very useful to have advisors that you trust from different perspectives that allow you to take that step back, right? And say, okay, this is where we're at. How can we get to here by A, B, C, D different routes, and which route is a little bit better rather than really focusing on the nitty gritty. I would say that ability to step back is really important, and ability to know what you're not good at and hire people for the things you're not good at. Everybody has weaknesses. Nobody is good at everything, but I think actually knowing what you're not good at and ability to delegate on that can sometimes be more important than knowing what you are good at.
And if you could share one inspirational quote or an advice to inspire the individuals who are stepping into such roles in entrepreneurship and sustainability, what would that be?
And always remember why you're doing it and never give up.
Okay, thank you so much, Natalie, for your sharing today. And for those of you who would like to hear more from other corporate leaders and entrepreneurs, do follow us. Thank you.